Chosen one, pause now. Let stillness wash over you. Set everything else aside, for a sacred truth awaits. What you're about to hear is not merely a message. It is a summons, a profound call from realms unseen while the world lay sleeping. Something eternal shook the very foundations of heaven, a cosmic event of immense magnitude. This was not random, it was not vague. This celestial shift, this divine tremor, was profoundly about you. In the silent hours of the night, as your physical body rested, the heavens stirred with a divine urgency, thrones of glory lit with holy fire, divine councils gathered in solemn formation. Anticipation filled the air. Scrolls, hidden since the dawn of time, were unsealed. Ancient prophecies whispered into Krishan's ear, and at the heart of it all, one name echoed across the vast, echoing halls of eternity. That name, resonating through every dimension, was your name, spoken with divine intent and power. The angels did not move, they stood still, cloaked in awe. For a sacred moment had arrived. When your name was declared, it wasn't a whisper. It was thundered through pure, incandescent light. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, says the Lord. This divine knowing was profound. Last night, that ancient knowing was reawakened in the heavens. Not a prophecy for someday, but a moment now begun. You are not wandering by accident. You are walking under the immense weight of a divine event. Even now, its power follows you. That vivid dream, the ache in your chest, this sudden clarity this morning. It's not random. It's residue. Something holy, profound, touched your life last night. A sacred imprint on that scroll. Do not turn away. Beloved, this is sacred ground. Your attention is vital here. Your story is being rewritten, not by your hand, but by His. A divine author, crafting your future. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Can you feel the shift? The shift is undeniably here, but you must choose to walk in it. Step through this open gate. As you step forward into this divine role, I invite you to declare your readiness, your spirit's agreement. Type Amen in the comments below. Let it be a sign of your acceptance, a bold statement. Declare that you are ready to step into your God-given purpose. This is your moment to affirm. Stay with this message until the very end. We'll close with a powerful prayer to align your heart. So now, chosen one, listen with your spirit, not your mind, not your emotions, but the part that remembers heaven. Last night was not simply a shift. It was a reckoning, a moment of divine accounting for your life. While your body lay still in the quiet hours, what was written about you before birth was pulled from heaven's archives. It was not reviewed, not suggested. It was enforced. A decree, unchangeable and absolute. As written in Psalm 33:11, the plans of the Lord stand firm forever. His purposes are eternal. What was decided about you was not a hope. It was a purpose. A divine blueprint for your existence, and heaven will not permit that purpose to be erased. It is sealed, protected, unyielding. The courts of the Almighty were convened, not because of a crisis, but because the appointed time had arrived. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity." And last night your season profoundly changed. Not because of what you did or failed to do, but because heaven never forgot what was promised over your life. An ancient covenant upheld. This is why the archangels stood still. This is why heaven literally held its breath in anticipation, because the verdict concerning your life was not just an affirmation, it was a complete reversal. Years of delay, silent warfare, prayers you thought went unheard, moments where hope dissolved. It was never forgotten. Every seed of faith, every whispered cry, every act of kindness done in secret, they were all recorded. Each tear, each effort, diligently noted in the archives of heaven. As Revelation 8:4 describes, the smoke of the incense, together with the prayers of God's people, went up. Your prayers have risen, and now they return as thunder. A powerful, undeniable force. What was once buried is now being raised. What was silenced is being called forth into the light. When your scroll was unsealed, light poured out, revealing not only God's plans, but also enemy strategies. Strategies that had surrounded your path like invisible fences. Limitations you couldn't explain. Years you couldn't explain. Opportunities that slipped through your fingers. Relationships leaving unseen wounds. But heaven saw every detail, every tear, every injustice. And heaven has answered your every cry. This is not fiction. There are those who wake from sleep feeling a holy stillness. A weight in the room, not knowing their name had just been spoken in realms unseen. There are those who wept without knowing why, not realizing their spirit was responding to a war fought on their behalf. A divine defense. You may be among them. The timing of this message is not random. It was perfectly timed to your awakening. For too long, certain forces believed they had the right to tamper with your inheritance, your divine birthright. They whispered lies about your worth. They drew lines to keep you contained, to limit your potential. As Isaiah 54:17 reminds us, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are divinely protected. Every tongue which rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. And last night, every accusation was silenced. Every counterfeit alliance was exposed. The hidden networks, revealed in the searing light of truth. And someone who stood near you, whose words were sweet in public but sharp in private, was uncovered in full light. This is not about vengeance. It's about justice. Divina Justice meted out in heavenly courts. When the truth was revealed, heaven responded, as it did when Christ emerged from the tomb, with overwhelming joy. For the Lord has declared, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. A profound promise. This is not a hopeful promise. It is a current reality, unfolding even now. Witness this truth in your spirit. Some will question, some will doubt. But the Spirit knows. It bears witness to the truth. If your heart stirs at these words, it is not persuasion. It is because your soul remembers. It resonates. This is not the first time heaven moved for you. This is simply the most visible. And so, the gate stands open. Not a physical one, but a spiritual passage. It burns not with fire that harms, but with glory that purifies. Before it stand the angels, not symbolic, but real, waiting for your agreement with what has been established. The Lord does not need your permission to bless you, but He does call you to align, to willingly receive. The miracle has come to your doorstep, beloved, but only those who perceive it will walk through the door. There is a man named Joseph, whose story is in Genesis. Betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned for no fault, yet God never left him. At the right time, not before, Joseph was lifted into immense power. This is not a new path. It is the ancient one, carved by the hand of the Almighty, long before your first breath. And now, with heaven as witness, and eternity watching, the Lord declares, the time is now. What was withheld is released. What was stolen is returned. What was hidden is revealed. A cascade of blessings. What transpired last night was not merely a shift. It was a divine upheaval, an irreversible act of heaven. Something momentous was issued in the highest realm, and even now, it echoes through all creation. Realms unseen were shaken. Thrones stood at attention. The eternal order bent to accommodate a single burning decree. And still, the cry of heaven this morning remains. Why does the chosen one not yet see? This was no ordinary night, while the world turned in its sleep, and you moved unknowingly through the silence. Something ancient stirred. A call, urgent and fierce, rang through dimensions that have never known rest. Not a trumpet, not a whisper, but the very voice of the Ancient of Days himself, echoing with authority. When the voice of God resounds, nothing created remains still. Every atom vibrates with his command. Last night, that voice summoned the divine council, the celestial courtroom, fully assembled and awaiting. The chambers filled with brilliance, too great for human vision. Thrones lit with eternal fire, aligned in solemn formation. And into the center of that courtroom was brought your scroll, the written legacy, the truth of your life. What followed was not a ceremony. It was war in the form of justice, a battle for your destiny. An angel emerged, carrying the full, unvarnished record of your pain. Every lie you were told, every betrayal you endured quietly, every promise broken behind your back, every delay not caused by you, but inflicted upon you. As Psalm 56:8 declares, you keep track of all my sorrows. Nothing was missed, no loss ignored, no hidden sabotage escaped the omniscient gaze of God. Then Michael, commander of heaven's hosts, emerged, not in softness, but with the fury of divine protection. His sword, brighter than galaxies, was drawn, not to wound, but to divide truth from every deception. And with a voice that silenced every realm, he spoke, this far and no further. The words were not a warning, they were a final command, an irreversible boundary set in stone. Structures that had resisted your rise cracked at their foundation. Invisible prisons shattered, built from words others spoke against you, from fears you inherited, from patterns you never agreed to, collapsed. You did not know you were bound, but heaven did. You did not see the full extent of the delay, but God had, and with a single word, the delay shattered. Every hold, every block, utterly broken. But it was what happened next that caused even the archangels to reel in awe. A moment of true revelation. From within the assembly, a figure stepped forward. Someone tied to your life. A familiar face. A trusted presence. This person, permitted into your inner space, had long held a different posture in the dark. A hidden agenda. Though you did not see their movements, heaven recorded them all. Hidden intentions, quiet alliances, silent efforts to choke your progress at the root. They believed they were unseen, but heaven watches all. As the light of God flooded the room, no shadow could remain. Their mask cracked, revealing truth. The web they wove unraveled. Their schemes were not only revealed, they were instantly judged, not by anger, but holiness. And in that judgment, something unimaginable happened. Your scroll began to glow, not with fire, but with pure glory. Then came Gabriel, the messenger of the Most High, trailing radiance like flowing rivers. He stepped forward. He opened the scroll that bore your name. What was written in defilement by others' hands was wiped clean. Sentences of sabotage were erased without a trace. Your destiny, once delayed, was rewritten, not just restored, but accelerated. As Isaiah 62:22 declares, the least of you will become 1,000. I am the Lord. I will do this swiftly. And so it was. A roar filled the court, not of chaos, but of undeniable victory. A sound of triumph. It was not the sound of heaven celebrating itself. It was a sound of heaven celebrating you. Your journey, not because of what you did, but what you carry, what you survived, what was stolen that must now return. Heaven did not simply replace what was taken from you. Heaven multiplied it beyond measure. For what was lost time, resources, relationships, confidence, Clarity God gave the command. Return it all and double it, just as he restored Job, not with pity, but with profound purpose. He now speaks this over you. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. This is your divine inheritance, and still, even as the scroll burned with glory, and angels stood stunned, you awoke unaware. The weight in your chest, the sudden emotion, the tears you could not name. That stirring was not confusion. It was the echo of last night's decree, the imprint of heaven pressing against your waking world. You have wondered why the air feels different, why your spirit feels heavy and expectant all at once. It is not anxiety. It is alignment. Something in you is responding to what has already been decided. And now comes the truth few are ready to hear. This decree is active, but it is not permanent. It is a gate opened by mercy, held open by grace, and destined to close at the appointed time. The Lord is not forcing your next step. He is simply revealing what stands before you, your clear path. And what was judged in your favor cannot be left unrecognized. You must perceive it, embrace it, because this moment, this stretch of time you are now in, is not just a season. It is a divine window. Before the final veil is lifted, before the fullness of the divine decree is revealed, there's one last truth, one that has nothing to do with enemy exposure or returned blessings. This truth lies deeper. It is not about what happened around you, but what heaven did within you, the restoration of the temple that is you. As the thunder faded from heaven's court, a new procession began, marked not by warfare, but by grace. The angels, who had stood like warriors moments before, now moved with the gentleness of midwives and builders. No longer brandishing swords, they carried instruments of light and oil. Their mission was inner resurrection, because heaven understood a truth many overlook. If your spirit remains cracked by sorrow, even glory will crush you. As Psalm 51:6 says, "You desired truth in the inward parts. In the hidden part, you will make me to know wisdom, so I haven't came. Not just to restore what was lost, but to remake who you are." But your very core, you may not remember it with your mind, but your spirit does, even now. Echoes of that divine touch linger. Last night, unseen by human eyes, the hosts of the Most High drew near. They laid hands upon your hidden fractures, the pain you never voiced, questions buried beneath survival, parts hardened by disappointment, ... met with light, not symbolic light, but the living, breathing light of God's own presence. The true light, which gives light. This light carried intelligence, intention. It moved like water, yet held like stone. It did not just shine, it repaired. It stabilized what had grown unstable. It rewrote what had been rewritten by pain. It revived what had grown still. The angels touched your thoughts. Where confusion had taken root, they touched your heart. Where grief had settled, they strengthened the core of your soul, preparing it to carry what was coming. A restored calling. Just as Jerusalem's walls had to be rebuilt before the temple could be filled with glory, so too, your inner being. That's why you feel it now. This strange, inexplicable calm. This quiet rising of strength you didn't summon. This clarity where there was once fog. It is not mood. It is not coincidence. It is the settling of new foundations. Heaven did not just give you back what was stolen. Heaven refit you to carry more than you've ever held, because some callings are too weighty for fractured souls. Some mantles require not just faith, but fortitude. And before the final word could be given, God ensured that your vessel would not break beneath it. And so, heaven rewrote more than your scroll. It rewrote your very structure, your inner operating system. It recalibrated your emotional rhythms, replaced exhaustion with resilience, and embedded discernment where there was doubt. The same spirit who hovered over the deep in Genesis hovered over you, bringing order to your inner chaos. Now, as you move forward, even unaware, you are not walking in the same frame. You are fortified, reinforced, purified, because heaven does not simply give blessings. It gives the capacity to keep them, to hold them securely. So when the final veil lifts, when your calling is made known, you will not falter. You will not bow, you will rise. You will walk forward, not merely as one rescued, but as one rebuilt by the hand of God himself. You have already heard of the verdicts spoken in your favor. Witnessed the exposure of hidden sin, the release of blessings long withheld, the rewriting of your scroll. Yet all that was only preparation. There was a moment, sealed until now, that changed everything. When the court erupted in agreement, your nameros, not a metaphor, not a symbol. It ascended from the scroll like a banner in battle. Every angel ceased movement. Their wings froze mid-flight. A silence descended so absolute, time held its breath. And then, the Ancient of Days rose from his throne. This is not a gesture heaven takes lightly. Throughout Scripture, the Lord is seated. The There are moments when he stands, signaling divine intervention. And last night, the Lord stood again for you. His robe, woven with living light, swept through the court. The flames that lit the chamber bent toward him in worship. Even Michael bowed. Even Gabriel folded his wings. And from the center of that silence came a voice that carried galaxies on its very breath. Restore everything that was withheld. Accelerate all that was delayed. Release every portion that belongs to my chosen one. The moment those words were spoken, the heavens ignited. Scrolls flew open. Chains not only broke, ancient records were amended. Lines rewritten. Assignments that had been waiting were dispatched like lightning. What you thought would take years was authorized in moments. Time itself bent to divine will. And yet, this is not the part that caused the angels to tremble. That came next. An unforeseen wonder, because in the wake of all the glory, something happened heaven did not fully anticipate. Your destiny expanded. The Father did not simply give back what was lost. He gave what should have been had no opposition ever existed. What you would have walked in had betrayal never touched your path. What you would have received had delay not wrapped around your timeline. Years were poured back, not merely counted, but compounded. Strength restored beyond your past capacity. Opportunities returned that you never even knew were once yours. A treasure chest of lost potential, now found. And then, something truly astonishing. The scroll. Your scroll was placed in your hands. Yes, in your hands. Not symbolically, not in vision, but spiritually, tangibly, irrevocably. Rewritten. In golden ink, a being of light, an angel appointed to your life, stepped forward. In his hands was your destiny, sealed, no longer vulnerable to interference, sealed up with wax, but with living, eternal light, God's mark. No force, no voice, no power could undo what had been done. And your spirit, though resting, received it. But here lies the mystery that unsettled heaven. Your spirit accepted, but your mind is not yet caught up. Your voice has not echoed the decree. Your heart has not wrapped itself around the magnitude. And so the angels cry out, not in confusion, but in longing. How does the chosen one not know? How did they walk as if the night did not shake heaven? And this is why you feel what you feel today. The pressure, the stirring, the holy unrest you cannot name. It is not emotion, it is not stress. It is the echo of heaven reverberating through your body, calling you to awaken. Because what took place last night was not about recovery. It was about possession, your rightful claim. The old path has ended. The old cycles are broken. The adversary's legal claims silenced forever. The territory of your future has been transferred back into your grasp. Your dominion reinstated, and heaven will not allow you to walk another day unaware. The time for blind walking is over, but there is one final unveiling still to come. The final key that explains everything. The battle was not random. The opposition was not accidental. The interference had a deeper source. The one who rose against you did not act alone. And heaven has kept this final truth reserved for the chosen, those who must know the why before they carry the what. Why were you targeted? The deep question. Why was the warfare so fierce? Why did heaven respond with such force? That truth is near now. There was a moment in the courts of heaven last night, so sacred, so final. Even the angels bowed. The verdict spoken. Your scroll rewritten in fire. Your inheritance restored. Enemies' influence cut off. God wasn't finished. The throne room held its breath as the voice of the Most High spoke one last command. Reveal the adversary. The court darkened, not with fear, but with the weight of divine justice descending. A moment of reckoning. A veil was pulled back. Standing behind it was not a stranger, but a presence once welcomed near. The hidden truth.